I stand here today to let my fellow South Jerseyans know that I voted no on President Biden's dangerous socialist bill, the Build Back Better Act. The United States is a country of great minds, great spirit, and great strength. Some foolishly believe that America is weak and broken. These radical manipulators conspire to exploit our country and seize control of our way of life. This legislation asserts total federal control over the American people, leaving us utterly dependent on a cradle-to-grave welfare system. I've opposed every radical piece of legislation that House Democrats have put forth, and this far-left socialist bill is the worst of them all. I stood in staunch opposition and voted no on the Democrats' original bloated infrastructure bill in both committee and on the House floor. I also voted no on every bill that is part of President Biden's so-called Build Back Better agenda. I voted no on the short-term continuing resolution, and I voted no on raising our debt ceiling, both of which would have given Democrats the funding to ram through this reconciliation package. The Democrats' latest attempt to expand the federal bureaucracy is what I call the big bad bill. This legislation contains $4.5 trillion in new spending that will drive up inflation, $1.5 trillion in new taxes. That will cripple American families and send jobs overseas, and $3 trillion in new debt that our children and our grandchildren will reap for years to come. This bill creates more than 150 government programs that will swell the DC bureaucratic swamp and will add more than 80,000 IRS agents in order to spy on Americans' private bank accounts. It provides $330 billion in incentives for people to stay home and not to go to work, which will exacerbate the labor shortage that is already stagnating our economy and crippling our supply chain. $550 billion will be going towards Green New Deal provisions and tax incentives for the wealthy and for corporations, while moving us further away from energy independence, and it will increase our reliance on foreign adversaries, such as China and Russia. You know what's even more upsetting than the reckless spending is the lack of acknowledgement for pressing issues that are plaguing our nation. The left made the decision that these issues did not deserve a single penny of their $4.5 trillion proposal. $0 for expanding border security, despite a 128% increase in border apprehensions from October of last year. And it will provide amnesty for millions of illegal aliens. There's also $0 for helping clean up the mess this administration left in Afghanistan, despite hundreds of Americans still being stranded. And importantly, zero mention of how America will adapt and compete with China in the 21st century. The United States is not a socialist country. The United States will never be a socialist country. Yet the priorities of this president and the left are clear. Their policies continue to weaken America on the world stage, and Congress must stop it here and now as this bill heads to the Senate. We must defeat this legislation and avert a socialist apocalypse. It is time. It is time for us to save our America.